Welcome to Salt Bake Mini. I wanted a picture for my kitchen, so I figured I would attempt making one. As usual, I found one that I like on the internet and used it for a reference. I imported the reference photo into Nomad Sculpt and started working on the base of the picture. If you're interested in 3D sculpting, Nomad is a great app for it. It's easy to use and costs less than $20. I use the lathe tool to get the initial shape. Once the outline is drawn, the part is validated and turned into a solid object. I can then start working on the top pour spout. Using the tube tool, I can make a handle pretty easily. One of my favorite parts of the tube tool is the profile editor that lets me change the shape of the handle. Once formed, it can be validated as well and merged with the base. I now need to work on the bottom and give it a nice platform to sit on. Using a cylinder and the mask tool, the platform can be created quickly and merged with the rest of the picture. Because I'll be slip casting this, I need to make an area that I can pour the slip into. This should work pretty well and should let me pour slip in and out of the mold. Now, here's where things get a little tricky. When making plaster molds for slip casting, you typically make a mold of one half of the object, then let it dry, then make the second half. This would take too long and is a bit of a pain, especially at this scale. Using SketchUp, I create two parts to make it so I can make both mold halves at the same time. The parts are then imported into Nomad, and the picture is split and merged with them. It's a little confusing to look at, but once printed and molded, it'll make more sense. I'm a little worried about the handle being too thin, so I add a little wax to it. I can carve this off the dry clay later. A mold is made using my typical cereal box and aluminum tape method. I'll put a link to my video showing how I make it in the description. Plaster is then poured in both sides of the mold and then set aside to cure. And I pulled the molds too early and they chipped. Let's try it again with a little more patience. Ooh, that looks good. They fit together real nice. Once completely dried out, I noticed there was a little gap between the two halves. I put wax around it so the slip wouldn't leak out, but found out later there was no need to. Pour in the slip, refill when needed, then pour it out when you think it's thick enough. After letting the clay dry a little, the top is scraped off and I noticed it was a little thinner than I wanted. I poured a little more slip in and got it a little thicker. After drying out, the base can be removed from the mold. I trim the top and then set it out to dry. Once completely dry, it can be carved down and smoothed before bisque firing. I need a way to hold onto it while glazing, so I add a handle with wax. I learned about wax resist recently and I thought I would give it a try. You can paint it on anywhere you don't want glaze, which for me is the bottom of the pitcher. Staying with the classic look, 3 coats of white glaze are then applied to the inside and outside before putting it in the oven. And here we are. A nice little pitcher to pour some milk and make a mess. Second try, much better. One note, the original pitcher wasn't a 12-inch pitcher, so I was a little bothered when I realized I didn't make it to the original scale. So I had to make a smaller 8-inch version. I also made a few with different colors, and I'll send one to the first 3 people to comment with the color they want. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please consider subscribing